The invasion. The skies over New York City turned an ominous shade of crimson as the massive alien ships descended through the atmosphere. Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force stood atop the observation deck of the Freedom Tower, her heart racing as she watched humanity's worst nightmare unfold before her eyes. "This is it," she muttered, her grip tightening on the railing. "Everything we've trained for, everything we've feared, it's really happening." The alien vessels were unlike anything humanity had ever seen or imagined. Sleek, obsidian structures that seemed to defy the laws of physics, they moved with an eerie grace that belied their immense size. As they approached, Sarah could make out intricate patterns etched into their hulls, glowing with an otherworldly energy. Her comm unit crackled to life, the voice of General Marcus Harding cutting through the eerie silence that had fallen over the city. "Captain Chen, status report." Sarah swallowed hard, forcing herself to remain professional despite the fear gnawing at her insides. "Sir, we've got multiple bogies entering New York airspace. I count at least 7 capital ships and dozens of smaller craft. They're not responding to any of our hails." "Understood, Captain. Initiate Protocol Omega. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." As Sarah turned to relay the orders, a blinding flash of light erupted from the lead alien ship. A beam of pure energy lanced out, striking the Statue of Liberty. In an instant, the iconic monument was vaporized, leaving nothing but a smoldering crater where it once stood. The message was clear: the aliens hadn't come in peace. Chaos erupted across the city. Sirens wailed as emergency protocols kicked in, but it was clear that no amount of preparation could have readied humanity for this moment. Sarah raced down to the command center, barking orders into her comm unit as she went. "All squadrons, scramble. I want every bird we've got in the air 5 minutes ago. Coordinate with ground defenses and prepare for incoming hostiles." As she burst into the command center, Sarah was greeted by a scene of controlled chaos. Officers and technicians rushed about, relaying information and coordinating defenses. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the alien ships' positions and the pitiful human forces rallying to meet them. "Captain Chen," a young lieutenant called out, his face pale with fear. "We're getting reports of similar invasions all over the globe. London, Moscow, Beijing, Tokyo. They're hitting every major city simultaneously." Sarah's blood ran cold. This wasn't just an invasion, it was an all-out assault on humanity itself. She steeled herself, pushing down the panic threatening to overwhelm her. Now was not the time for fear. Now was the time for action. "Listen up," she shouted, her voice cutting through the din. "I know we're outgunned and outmatched, but we are not going down without a fight. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Earth is our home, and we will defend it to our last breath." A chorus of determined "Yes, ma'am" echoed through the command center. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was humanity at its finest, standing tall in the face of impossible odds. Outside, the first shots of the war for Earth were being fired. Human fighter jets screamed through the sky, looking like insects compared to the massive alien ships. But what they lacked in size, they made up for in courage and determination. Sarah watched the tactical displays, her heart swelling with pride as she saw the human pilots executing maneuvers that pushed the limits of their craft and their own bodies. They weaved and dodged, avoiding the alien energy weapons while unleashing a barrage of missiles and railgun fire. For a moment, it seemed like they might actually be making a difference. Several of the smaller alien craft erupted in flames, spiraling down to crash into the Hudson River. But then the alien capital ships opened fire in earnest, and Sarah's hope turned to ash. Beams of energy sliced through the sky, cutting through human fighters like they were made of paper. Buildings crumbled, reduced to rubble in seconds. The proudest achievements of human architecture and engineering were being erased from existence. "Captain," the same lieutenant from before called out, his voice cracking. We've lost contact with Washington. The White House, it's gone. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself a brief second of grief. When she opened them again, they blazed with determination. Keep fighting. We're not done yet. As the battle raged on, Sarah noticed something strange. The aliens weren't just destroying indiscriminately. They seemed to be targeting specific locations, almost as if they were searching for something. Focus our defenses on research facilities and data centers, she ordered. Whatever they're looking for, we can't let them have it. Hours passed, each minute feeling like an eternity. The human forces fought valiantly, but it was clear they were fighting a losing battle. For every alien ship they managed to bring down, 10 more seemed to take its place. As night fell, the sky was lit by the fires of a burning city. Sarah stood at the window of the command center, watching as New York, the city she had sworn to protect, crumbled before her eyes. "Captain," a soft voice came from behind her. She turned to see Dr. Elias Reeves, one of the world's leading xenobiologists. "I think I might know what they're after." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Go on." Reeves hesitated, then spoke in a rush. "It's the Prometheus project, the theoretical faster-than-light drive we've been working on. I think they're here to stop us from developing it." Sarah's mind raced. If Reeves was right, it meant the aliens saw humanity as a potential threat, a species on the verge of joining them among the stars. It was both terrifying and oddly inspiring. "We need to secure that research," Sarah said, her voice firm. "If it's what they're after, it might be our only bargaining chip." As she turned to issue the orders, a deafening explosion rocked the building. Alarms blared as the power flickered and died. In the eerie red glow of the emergency lights, Sarah saw fear on every face. But she also saw something else. Determination, resilience, the unbreakable human spirit that had carried their species through every hardship and catastrophe in their history. Sarah Chen, captain of the United Earth Defense Force, stood tall. The aliens might have superior technology and overwhelming force, but they had underestimated one crucial factor: the sheer, stubborn will of humanity to survive. As the sound of alien weapons drew closer, Sarah drew her sidearm. "All right, people, let's show these ETs what humans are made of." The battle for Earth had only just begun, and humanity wasn't going down without a fight. As the alien invasion entered its second week, the remnants of humanity's defense forces found themselves pushed to the brink. Captain Sarah Chen, now operating from a makeshift underground command center in the ruins of Central Park, pored over the latest intelligence reports. The news was grim. "London has fallen," she announced to her ragtag group of survivors. "Paris and Berlin are holding on by a thread. We've lost contact with most of Asia and Africa." Private Alex Rodriguez, a young soldier with haunted eyes, spoke up. "What about the Prometheus project, Captain? Any word on that?" Sarah shook her head. "Nothing concrete. We know Dr. Reeves managed to evacuate some of his team before the aliens hit the facility, but we've lost contact since then." As the group discussed their dwindling options, a commotion erupted near the entrance of their bunker. Sarah's hand instinctively went to her weapon as she heard shouts and the sound of a scuffle. "Captain," a voice called out, "you need to see this." Sarah rushed to the entrance, her team close behind. What she saw made her stop in her tracks. 2 of her soldiers were restraining a figure that was decidedly not human. The alien was humanoid in shape, but that's where the similarities ended. Its skin was a pale, iridescent blue that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. 4 arms extended from its torso, ending in delicate, multi-fingered hands. But it was the alien's eyes that captured Sarah's attention, large, almond-shaped, and a deep violet that seemed to hold galaxies within them. "Please," the alien spoke, its voice a melodious trill that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "I mean you no harm. I've come to help." Sarah's finger tightened on the trigger of her pistol. "Why should we believe you?" Your kind has been trying to wipe us out for the past week. The alien's shoulders slumped, an oddly human gesture of defeat. I am not like the others. My name is Zara, and I am part of a resistance movement within my own people. We believe this war is unjust and unnecessary. For a moment, silence reigned in the bunker. Then Dr. Rees pushed his way to the front of the group, his eyes wide with excitement and curiosity. Fascinating, he breathed, reaching out towards Zara before catching himself. Captain, we need to hear what she has to say. This could be the break we've been waiting for. Zara hesitated, years of military training warring with a desperate need for any advantage in this seemingly hopeless war. Finally, she nodded. All right, but keep her restrained, and if she makes one wrong move. She left the threat unspoken, but Zara nodded in understanding. As they moved deeper into the bunker, the alien began to speak, her story unfolding like a cosmic tragedy. My people, the HFY, have long seen themselves as guardians of the galaxy, Zara explained. For millennia, we've watched over developing civilizations, guiding them towards peaceful coexistence among the stars. But in recent centuries, a faction has risen to power that believes in a more aggressive approach. Dr. Rees leaned forward, his scientific curiosity piqued. And this faction, they're the ones behind the invasion. Zara nodded, her violet eyes filled with sorrow. They believe that species who develop faster than light travel independently are too unpredictable, too dangerous to be allowed free rein in the galaxy. When our long-range sensors detected your work on the Prometheus project, they decided to intervene. Zara's mind raced, connecting the dots. So this whole invasion, it's all because we're close to cracking FTL travel. Yes, Zara confirmed, but it goes deeper than that. The faction in power fears humanity's potential, your adaptability, your resilience, your capacity for both great destruction and incredible kindness. They see it as a threat to the established order of the galaxy. Private Rodriguez snorted. Some threat we've been. Your ships have been wiping the floor with us since day one. Zara turned to him, her gaze intense. You underestimate yourselves. In all our history, we've never encountered a species that's put up such fierce resistance in the face of overwhelming odds. It's admirable. Zara caught the note of awe in the alien's voice and filed it away for later consideration. All right, so you're here to help. What exactly can you offer us? Zara's form seemed to shimmer with excitement. Information for a start. The locations of key HFY command ships, weaknesses in their shield technology, communication frequencies. But more than that, I can offer you a way to turn the tide of this war. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled humans. There's a reason the Prometheus project terrifies my people so much. It's not just the FTL drive, it's the principles behind it. If fully realized, it could revolutionize not just travel, but energy production, weapons technology, even the manipulation of space-time itself. Dr. Rees gasped. My God, of course. The quantum entanglement principles we were working with, in the right application, they could change everything, Zara finished for him. With my knowledge of HFY technology and your innovative approach, we might be able to complete the project and give humanity a fighting chance. For the first time since the invasion began, Sarah felt a flicker of hope in her chest. But years of military service had taught her caution. It's an intriguing offer, Zara. But how do we know this isn't some elaborate trap? For all we know, you could be feeding us false information to lead us into an ambush. Zara's expression turned sullen. You don't. I can only give you my word and hope that you'll see the truth in my actions. But consider this, if I wanted to destroy you, I could have simply revealed the location of this bunker to the invasion force. Zara considered this for a long moment, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, she came to a decision. All right, Zara, we'll work with you. But understand this, at the first sign of betrayal, I won't hesitate to end you myself. The alien nodded, accepting the terms. I understand, Captain, and I hope that in time I can earn your trust. For now, we should focus on our immediate goals. The first step will be to secure the remaining Prometheus project data and equipment. As the group began to plan their next move, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The fate of humanity, perhaps even the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Outside the bunker, the war for Earth raged on. But within its concrete walls, an unlikely alliance was forming. Human and alien, united against a common foe, embarking on a desperate mission to save not just a planet, but the very future of intelligent life in the cosmos. As Sarah watched Dr. Reeves and Zara pore over schematics and equations, their excitement palpable, she allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their fighting spirit, but their capacity to find hope and forge connections even in the darkest of times. The road ahead would be perilous, the odds stacked against them. But for the first time since the invasion began, Captain Sarah Chen dared to believe that they might just have a chance. Part 3. Resistance Rising. The abandoned subway tunnels beneath New York City echoed with the sounds of hurried footsteps and hushed voices. Captain Sarah Chen led her small team through the labyrinth of darkness, their path illuminated by the soft bioluminescent glow emanating from Zara's skin. "We're approaching the rendezvous point," Sarah whispered, checking the crude map sketched on a tattered piece of paper. "Everyone stay alert. We don't know what kind of reception we'll get." It had been 3 weeks since Zara's unexpected arrival, and in that time, the unlikely alliance between the alien defector and the human resistance had begun to bear fruit. Using Zara's inside knowledge, they had managed to establish contact with other pockets of human survivors around the globe, slowly building a network of resistance cells. As they rounded a corner, Sarah held up a fist, signaling the group to halt. Ahead, a makeshift barricade blocked the tunnel, manned by armed figures shrouded in shadow. "Halt. Identify yourselves," a gruff voice called out. Sarah stepped forward, her hands raised. "Captain Sarah Chen, United Earth Defense Force. We're here for the summit." There was a tense moment of silence before the voice responded. "Approach slowly. Any sudden moves, and we open fire." As they drew closer, Sarah could make out the hodgepodge of military uniforms and civilian clothing worn by the guards. A testament to how the invasion had forced people from all walks of life to band together. One of the guards, a burly man with a thick beard, narrowed his eyes at Zara. "What's that thing doing here?" he growled, raising his weapon. Sarah stepped between them. "She's with us, and she's our best chance at turning this war around." The guard looked unconvinced, but a new voice cut through the tension. "Stand down, Johnson. If Chen vouches for the alien, that's good enough for me." A figure emerged from the shadows, General Marcus Harding, one of the few high-ranking military officials known to have survived the initial invasion. His once immaculate uniform was now tattered and stained, but his eyes still held the same steely determination Sarah remembered. "Captain Chen," he nodded in greeting. "Glad to see you made it. We've got representatives from resistance cells on every continent waiting inside. It's time we start coordinating our efforts on a global scale." As they were ushered through the barricade, Sarah marveled at the underground city that had sprung up in the abandoned subway station. Makeshift living quarters, communication centers, and even rudimentary medical facilities had been cobbled together from salvaged materials. The central platform had been converted into a war room, with a large table dominating the space. Around it stood a diverse group of individuals, military personnel, scientists, and civilian leaders from around the world. General Harding called the meeting to order. "Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a crucial juncture. Thanks to the information provided by our unexpected ally," he nodded towards Zara, "we now have a chance to strike back against the invaders." Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his eyes bright with excitement despite the dark circles that spoke of sleepless nights. "We've made significant progress on the Prometheus project. With Zara's insights into Xarkai technology, we believe we're close to a breakthrough that could change the course of this war." A murmur rippled through the assembled leaders. Sarah could see hope warring with skepticism on their faces. A woman in the tattered uniform of the Chinese military spoke up. "And we're certain this alien can be trusted. How do we know this isn't an elaborate trap?" Before Sarah could respond, Zara stepped forward. Her luminescent skin seemed to pulse with emotion as she addressed the group. "I understand your mistrust," she began, her melodious voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "My people have brought nothing but destruction to your world. But please believe me when I say that not all Xarkay support this invasion. There are many of us who believe in peaceful coexistence, who see the beauty and potential in species like yours." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled humans. "I've seen your courage, your resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. In the short time I've spent among you, I've witnessed acts of kindness and sacrifice that have humbled me. I believe that humanity deserves a place among the stars, and I will do everything in my power to help you claim it." A heavy silence fell over the room as Zara's words sank in. Sarah watched as expressions softened, saw the first glimmers of acceptance in the eyes of the resistance leaders. General Harding cleared his throat. "Well said. Now, let's get down to business. Captain Chen, give us a rundown of the plan." Sarah stepped up to the table, spreading out a series of maps and diagrams. "Based on the intelligence Zara has provided, we've identified several key targets that could cripple the Xarkay invasion force. Their ships rely on a network of orbital relay stations to coordinate their attacks. If we can take out enough of these stations simultaneously, we can throw their entire operation into chaos." She outlined the proposed strikes, detailing how resistance cells around the globe would need to coordinate their efforts for maximum impact. As she spoke, Sarah could see the spark of hope growing in the eyes of those around her. "It's a bold plan," a grizzled Australian commando commented. "But how do we get past their defenses? Our conventional weapons have barely scratched their ships so far." Dr. Reeves stepped in, his voice brimming with barely contained excitement. "That's where the Prometheus project comes in. We're developing a device that, in theory, could create localized disruptions in the Xarkay energy shields. It's not a permanent solution, but it should give us a window to strike." The next few hours were a flurry of discussion and planning. Strategy was debated, resources allocated, and risks assessed. Through it all, Sarah felt a growing sense of purpose. For the first time since the invasion began, they weren't just surviving, they were fighting back. As the meeting drew to a close, General Harding addressed the group one final time. "What we're attempting here is nothing short of a miracle. The odds are stacked against us, and there's a good chance many of us won't live to see the outcome. But make no mistake, this is our last best hope. Not just for humanity, but for every species that values freedom and self-determination." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "Go back to your cells. Prepare your people. In 1 week's time, we launch Operation Prometheus. May whatever gods you believe in be with us all." As the crowd dispersed, Sarah found herself standing next to Zara. The alien's violet eyes were fixed on the bustling activity around them, a mix of emotions playing across her alien features. "You've given them hope," Sarah said softly. "That's no small thing." Zara turned to her, a sad smile on her face. "Hope is a powerful force. I just pray it's enough to overcome the challenges ahead." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. In 1 week, they would either strike a decisive blow against the invaders or suffer a defeat from which humanity might never recover. As she watched the resistance leaders file out, each carrying the fate of their respective regions with them, Sarah Chen steeled herself for the battles to come. The war for Earth was about to enter a new phase, and the entire galaxy would feel its repercussions. The turning point. The pre-dawn sky was tinged with an unnatural green, a side effect of the alien energy weapons that had reshaped Earth's atmosphere over the past month. Captain Sarah Chen crouched in the ruins of what had once been a suburban home, her eyes fixed on the looming silhouette of its Xarkay relay station in the distance. "All teams, sound off. she whispered into her comm unit, the device jury-rigged with Zara's help to avoid detection by alien scanners. One by one, voices crackled through, each team reporting their readiness. This was it, the moment Operation Prometheus would make or break humanity's resistance. Zara, Dr. Rees, what's the status on the disruption device? Sarah asked, turning to where the odd pair huddled over a contraption that looked like a mad scientist's fever dream. Dr. Rees looked up, his eyes bright with a mixture of excitement and fear. We're as ready as we'll ever be, Captain. If our calculations are correct, this should create a localized quantum field that will temporarily nullify the Tarkay energy shields. Zara nodded in agreement, her luminescent skin pulsing with what Sarah had come to recognize as nervous energy. It's our best chance, but we'll only have a small window of opportunity once it's activated. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. All right, people, this is it. Remember your training, remember what we're fighting for. On my mark. She paused, looking at each member of her team. Human faces etched with determination, and one alien visage filled with a mixture of hope and regret. In that moment, Sarah felt a surge of pride and kinship with them all. 3, 2, 1, mark. Dr. Rees activated the device, and for a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing at the seams, a shimmering field of energy expanded outward from their position. As it touched the alien relay station, the air around the structure seemed to ripple and distort. The usually impenetrable energy shields flickered and died. Now, Sarah shouted, leaping to her feet. All teams commence attack. What followed was a symphony of destruction. Resistance fighters emerged from hiding spots all around the relay station, unleashing a barrage of weaponry. Conventional firearms mixed with cobbled-together energy weapons based on Zara's designs, all focused on the suddenly vulnerable alien structure. Sarah led her team forward, covering ground quickly as they approached their primary target, the station's main power core. As they fought their way through disoriented Tarkay defenders, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of exhilaration. For the first time since the invasion began, they were taking the fight to the enemy. Captain, Private Rodriguez called out, pointing to the sky. We've got incoming. Sarah looked up to see a squadron of Tarkay fighters descending rapidly, no doubt alerted by the attack. Her heart sank, realizing their window of opportunity was closing fast. But before the alien ships could open fire, a familiar sound filled the air, the roar of human jet engines. From behind the clouds emerged a flight of F-35s, relics from before the invasion that had been kept hidden and painstakingly maintained for just this moment. "This is Eagle's squadron," a voice crackled over the comm. "Looks like you could use some air support, ground pounders." Sarah grinned as she watched the human fighters engage their alien counterparts, buying the ground team precious time. Much obliged, Eagle Squadron. Give 'em hell. With renewed determination, Sarah's team pushed forward. They encountered heavy resistance as they neared the power core, as Tarkay soldiers fighting with the desperation of those unaccustomed to being on the defensive. In the thick of the fighting, Sarah found herself back-to-back with Zara, the alien's 4 arms wielding a combination of human and Tarkay weapons with deadly efficiency. "You know," Sarah grunted as she dropped another alien soldier, "when this is over, I'm going to have a lot of questions about your combat training." Zara's melodious laugh rang out over the chaos of battle. "Assuming we survive, Captain, I'll be happy to give you a few pointers." Finally, they breached the inner sanctum of the relay station. The power core pulsed before them, a swirling vortex of energy that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "Reeves," Sarah called out, "you're up." The scientist rushed forward, his hands shaking slightly as he began to attach explosive charges to key points around the core. Each charge was a hybrid of human and Tarkay technology, designed to not just destroy the core, but to create a cascading reaction that would ripple through the entire alien network. As Reeves worked, Sarah and the others formed a defensive perimeter. The sounds of battle outside were intensifying. Their window was closing fast. "Done," Reeves shouted, scrambling back from the core. "We need to clear out, now." Sarah didn't need to be told twice. "All teams fall back. I repeat, fall back to extraction points immediately." They fought their way back out of the station, the charge's timer counting down in Sarah's head with each step. They had just cleared the main entrance when the world behind them erupted in a blinding flash of light and energy. The force of the explosion sent them all tumbling to the ground. As Sarah pushed herself up, her ears ringing, she looked back to see the relay station collapsing in on itself, consumed by a swirling vortex of energy. Above them, the alien ships were falling from the sky, their systems apparently overloaded by the destruction of the relay station. The human fighters swooped and dove among them, picking off stragglers with newfound ease. As the dust settled, a stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Then, slowly, it was broken by cheers. First from Sarah's team, then spreading to all the resistance fighters in the area. Soon, the comm channels were buzzing with reports from around the globe, similar scenes playing out at relay stations worldwide. Sarah found herself laughing, tears streaming down her face as the realization set in. They had done it. They had struck a real, meaningful blow against the invaders. Zara approached, her alien features set in an expression Sarah had come to recognize as awe. "I've never seen anything like this," she said softly. "In all our history, no species has ever managed to counter HFY technology so creatively." Sarah grinned, clapping a hand on Zara's shoulder. "Welcome to humanity, my friend. We're full of surprises." As the celebration continued around them, Sarah's comm unit crackled to life. General Harding's voice came through, tinged with a mix of disbelief and hope. "Captain Chen, preliminary reports are coming in from around the world. Operation Prometheus was a success beyond our wildest expectations. We've crippled their communication and coordination capabilities. For the first time since this war began, we have them on the run." Sarah closed her eyes, letting the weight of those words sink in. They had done more than win a battle. They had changed the course of the war. Humanity, with a little help from an unlikely ally, had proven that they weren't just going to survive this invasion. They were going to win it. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink that hadn't been seen since the invasion began, Sarah Chen looked out at the battered but unbowed faces of her team. Human and alien alike, they had fought together, bled together, and now they would rebuild together. The road ahead would still be long and fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a long time, the future looked bright. Humanity had taken its first steps towards claiming its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. Secrets unveiled. The mood in the underground war room was electric. 2 months had passed since Operation Prometheus, and the tide of the war had shifted dramatically. Holographic displays showed the steady retreat of HFY forces across the globe, each day bringing news of liberated cities and fallen alien strongholds. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the assembled leaders of the human resistance, her posture straight, but her eyes betraying the exhaustion of constant battles. Beside her, Zara's luminescent skin pulsed with an intensity that matched the excitement in the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah began, her voice cutting through the murmur of conversation. "While we've made significant progress, we can't afford to become complacent. The HFY are on the back foot, but they're far from defeated." Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his usual disheveled appearance amplified by weeks of non-stop work. "Captain Chen is right. Our latest intelligence suggests that the HFY are regrouping for a major counteroffensive. But there's something else." He paused, glancing at Zara. The alien nodded, stepping forward. "We've intercepted communications from the HFY High Command. It appears that their leadership is divided on how to proceed." A ripple of murmurs swept through the room. General Harding leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "Divided how, exactly?" Zara's violet eyes seemed to darken. The faction that initiated this invasion is facing opposition from within. Many Xarkai are beginning to question the wisdom and morality of this war, especially in light of humanity's unexpected resistance. Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Can we exploit this division? Possibly, Zara replied. But there's more. The communications we intercepted, they mentioned something called the convergence. Whatever it is, it seems to be the real reason behind this invasion. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Dr. Rees who finally broke the tension. The convergence, it has to be connected to the quantum principles we've been working with in the Prometheus project. Zara, do you have any idea what it might be? The alien's skin rippled with what Sarah had come to recognize as discomfort. I'm not sure. It's not a term I was familiar with before, but based on the context, it seems to be some kind of cosmic event, one that the Xarkai leadership believes could alter the very fabric of reality. General Harding slammed his fist on the table. Damn it, we need more information. If there's something bigger at play here, we need to know what we're really fighting for, or against. Sarah's mind raced, piecing together fragments of information. Zara, you mentioned before that the Xarkai see themselves as guardians of the galaxy. Could this convergence be something they're trying to prevent? Something they think humanity might trigger? Zara's eyes widened. It's possible. The faction in power has always been paranoid about emerging species disrupting the cosmic balance. If they believe humanity is on the verge of unlocking some fundamental secret of the universe, then this whole invasion could be their misguided attempt to save the galaxy from us. Sarah finished, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. Dr. Rees let out a low whistle. Talk about your cosmic misunderstandings. General Harding stood, his face set in grim determination. This changes everything. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for our right to exist in this universe. Captain Chen, I want you to put together a team. Your mission is to infiltrate the Xarkai command ship and find out everything you can about this convergence. Sarah nodded, her mind already assembling the team. Understood, sir. We'll need to move fast. If the Xarkai are planning a counteroffensive, we don't have much time. As the meeting adjourned and leaders dispersed to prepare their forces, Sarah found herself alone with Zara. The alien's usual calm demeanor seemed shaken. Zara, Sarah said softly, I need to know. Is there anything else you're not telling us? Anything at all about this convergence, or why your people fear humanity so much? Zara was silent for a long moment, her violet eyes swirling with emotion. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. There are legends among my people, ancient prophecies speaking of a species that would rise from a blue world, possessing the power to reshape reality itself, a species that could bring either salvation or destruction to the entire universe. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. And you think that species is us, humans? Zara nodded slowly. The more I've seen of humanity, your resilience, your creativity, your capacity for both great good and terrible destruction, the more I've come to believe it might be true. The Xarkai leadership fears you because, deep down, they know you have the potential to surpass them. Sarah let out a shaky breath, the weight of this revelation settling on her shoulders. So no pressure then, she said with a wry smile. Just the fate of the entire universe resting on us figuring out this convergence thing. Zara placed one of her 4 hands on Sarah's shoulder, the touch conveying a depth of emotion that transcended their biological differences. If any species can face this challenge, Captain, I believe it's yours. You've already proven that the impossible is merely an invitation to innovate. As Sarah began to assemble her team for the most crucial mission of the war, her mind whirled with the implications of what she'd learned. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival or for their planet. They were fighting for their destiny among the stars, for the right to shape their own future in a universe far more complex and wondrous than they had ever imagined. The Xarkai command ship loomed in the distance, a dark silhouette against the starry sky. Within its halls lay the answers they desperately needed, and perhaps the key to ending this war once and for all. As Sarah prepared for the mission that would define not just her life, but potentially the fate of all sentient life in the galaxy, she felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Whatever this convergence was, whatever cosmic role humanity was meant to play, one thing was certain: the next phase of this conflict would change everything. The battle for Earth had become a battle for the very nature of reality itself, and Sarah Chen, along with her unlikely team of human soldiers and alien defector, was about to step into the heart of the storm. Triumph of humanity. The corridors of the HFY command ship were eerily silent as Captain Sarah Chen led her small team through its labyrinthine interior. The stark, alien architecture seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, making Sarah's skin crawl. According to the schematics Zora provided, the main control room should be just ahead. Dr. Reeves whispered, his eyes darting nervously between a holographic map and their surroundings. Sarah nodded, tightening her grip on her weapon, a hybrid of human ingenuity and HFY technology. Remember, our primary objective is to gather intel on the convergence. We need to understand what we're really up against here. As they approached the control room, a sudden alarm blazed through the ship. Sarah cursed under her breath. So much for the element of surprise. Move. They burst into the control room, weapons at the ready. But instead of the fierce resistance they expected, they found chaos. Sci-Fi crew members were frantically working at various stations, barely sparing a glance for the intruders. "What the hell?" Private Rodriguez muttered. Before Sarah could respond, a familiar voice rang out. "Captain Chen, over here." To her shock, Sarah saw Zara emerging from behind a console, her luminescent skin pulsing rapidly. "I managed to get aboard ahead of you. Something's happening, something big." As if on cue, the massive view screen at the front of the control room flickered to life. What it showed made Sarah's breath catch in her throat. A swirling vortex of energy was forming in space, growing larger by the second. Streams of light in impossible colors twisted and writhed, forming patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "The convergence," Dr. Reeves breathed, his voice filled with awe and terror in equal measure. It's beautiful." A booming voice filled the room, speaking in the melodious language of the HFY. Zara translated, her voice shaking. "They're saying that it's too late to stop it. The convergence is upon us, and reality itself is about to be rewritten." Sarah's mind raced. "Zara, what exactly does that mean? What's going to happen?" The alien's violet eyes were wide with fear. "According to our most ancient prophecies, the convergence is a cosmic event that occurs once in billions of years. It's a moment when the barriers between dimensions thin, allowing for changes in the fundamental laws of the universe." Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. "Are you saying that whoever controls this event could essentially rewrite the laws of physics?" Zara nodded grimly. "That's what my people have always feared, and why they sought to prevent humanity from reaching this point. They believed that if humans gained this power, you might reshape reality in ways that would destroy everything." Sarah felt the weight of the universe pressing down on her shoulders. "But we didn't cause this. It's a natural event, isn't it?" "Yes," Zara confirmed. "But now that it's here, someone must guide it. Someone must shape the new reality that will emerge." A new voice cut through the tension, the HFY ship's commander, his alien features twisted in a mix of fear and resignation. "So, humans," he said in heavily accented English, "you have come to claim your destiny, to destroy all that we have built over eons." Sarah stepped forward, her voice firm. "You're wrong. We don't want to destroy anything. We just want the right to exist, to grow, to explore the universe on our own terms." The commander laughed bitterly. "And you think you can be trusted with the power to reshape reality? Your species is violent, unpredictable. We're also capable of great kindness, of innovation, of seeing possibilities where others see only problems," Sarah countered. She gestured to Zara. We forged an alliance with one of your own, proving that cooperation is possible, even in the darkest of times. As they argued, the convergence continued to grow, its energies beginning to affect the ship. Reality seemed to shimmer and warp around them. Suddenly, Dr. Reeves let out a gasp. The Prometheus device. Captain, I think I know what we need to do. He rushed to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the alien controls. If I'm right, we can use the quantum principles we developed to stabilize the convergence. Not to control it, but to guide it towards a future where all species can coexist. The Kaukai commander's eyes widened. Impossible. No single species has the right to make such a decision. Then we'll make it together, Sarah said, a plan forming in her mind. She turned to Zara. You said there's a faction among your people that believes in peaceful coexistence. Can you contact them? Zara nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. Yes, I think so. Do it, Sarah commanded. She faced the Tarkai commander. This is bigger than our war, bigger than any one species. We have a chance to shape a future that works for everyone, but we need to work together. For a long moment, the commander was silent, his alien features unreadable. Then slowly he nodded. Perhaps we have misjudged your kind. What followed was a frenzy of activity. Dr. Rees worked with HFY scientists to modify the Prometheus device. Sarah coordinated with resistance cells back on Earth, explaining the situation and calling for a ceasefire. Zara reached out to her contacts among the HFY, spreading word of the collaboration. As the convergence reached its peak, energies threatening to tear reality apart, they made their move. The modified Prometheus device was activated, creating a stabilizing field around the vortex. Guided by the combined will and hopes of humans and Sarkai alike, the convergence began to settle into a new pattern. Sarah watched in awe as the swirling energies coalesced, forming new structures in the fabric of spacetime. She felt a subtle shift, as if the very nature of reality was adjusting around them. When it was over, an eerie calm settled over the ship. The view screen showed a universe that looked much the same, and yet felt fundamentally different. Did it work? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Rees was poring over readings from various instruments. I think so. The laws of physics seem largely unchanged, but there are subtle differences, new possibilities that didn't exist before. The HFY commander approached, his demeanor transformed. We are receiving reports from across the galaxy. The convergence has ushered in a new era. Barriers between species are breaking down. New forms of communication and cooperation are emerging spontaneously. Zara's skin pulsed with joy. We did it. We shaped a future of cooperation rather than conflict. Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The war was over. More than that, humanity had proven itself worthy of its place among the stars. As the reality of their victory sank in, Sarah turned to her team, human and alien alike. Well, she said with a tired smile, I'd say this calls for a celebration. Who's up for teaching the HFY how to throw a proper Earth-style party? Laughter filled the control room, human and alien voices mingling in a harmony that symbolized the new era they had ushered in. As Sarah looked out at the stars, she felt a sense of limitless possibility. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was ready to explore it, not as conquerors, but as partners in a grand cosmic adventure. The convergence had come and gone, and in its wake, a new age of intergalactic cooperation and discovery was dawning. And it all began with a small team of humans who dared to believe that understanding and collaboration could overcome even the greatest of differences. As the Earth came into view on the ship's screen, no longer a battlefield, but a shining beacon of hope, Sarah Chen knew that the real journey was just beginning. The stars awaited, and humanity was ready to take its place among them.